Last time on No Longer Allowed in Another World. After getting injured at the hands of Waldelia, Sensei and the other get treated by Annette's friend Usha at Zweiten Temple. With the demon lord gone, the otherworlders start taking control over Zauberberg, with one such man named Suzuki announcing his control of this town. Will Sensei and others be able to stop him, or will he prove too much for them? Stay tuned to find out. Episode 4 starts off with Suzuki placing his hand on Annette's head. He then activates his overpowered skill, Total Obedience, that turns anyone into his servant. Tama tries standing up for Annette, but he enslaves her as well. Usha then shows up and calls out Suzuki for using his powers for such selfish reasons. The townspeople also band with her against Suzuki, as they all start protesting his abuse of power. Suzuki, in turn, sicks his wolves on them, planning to destroy the town before rebuilding it into his new kingdom. Meanwhile, Tama finds Sensei. Under Suzuki's control, she starts furiously attacking him until she snaps the torso that propels the helmet at her, knocking her out cold. Sensei places her inside a barrel labeled Beware of Wildcat when Usha finds him. She tells him about how Suzuki had been completely consumed by greed and arrogance, resulting in him trying to take over this town by any means necessary. Suzuki wasn't always like this. He used to be timid and weak-willed when he first arrived here. These details catch Sensei's interest as he carefully notes them down in his notebook. Sensei then asks Usha to look after Tama while he heads over to the church where Suzuki was. Usha asks him what he could possibly do against Suzuki when he had no overpowered skills of his own. Sensei just answers that he feels he will be able to write his masterpiece with this and continues on his way. Usha follows behind him, and they reach the church. She warns him about Suzuki's wolves, who will tear him apart if he enters without a plan. That's when Sensei takes out his bottle of poison, impressing Usha, who starts thinking he had thought this through. Though those feelings don't last long after Sensei gulps down the poison himself. Usha then suggests they crawl their way through the hidden back door, but completely ignoring her advice, Sensei barges into the church through the main entrance. Sensei tells Suzuki that he was here to write a novel on him. Sensei wanted to write about how he gained more power than he deserved and fell to his greed. Not quite keen on this topic, Suzuki sicks his wolf pack on him. Usha intervenes and manages to take them out. However, one manages to slip through and holds her off, while the other wolves shoot fireballs at them. Suddenly, Milos appears out of the blue, wearing Sensei's helmet, and reflects all of these attacks back thanks to the helmet's ability to deflect low-level spells. Suzuki then decides to bring out his Great Wolf. The Great Wolf takes a big bite of Sensei's shoulder while Suzuki laughs hysterically, thinking it was all over. Abruptly, the poison inside Sensei's body starts entering the wolf, killing it instantly. Suzuki then brings out his trump card, Annette. Not wanting to fight her friend, Usha asks Sensei to retreat for the time being. However, Sensei had other plans as he walked up to Annette. With his throat at the edge of her dagger, Sensei tells Annette she wasn't some bird in a cage and had her own will. Blood starts dripping from Annette's hand as she desperately tries to hold herself back from hurting Sensei. Suzuki orders her to kill him. She raises her dagger in the air as if to bring it down on Sensei, but shockingly stabs herself in the leg instead, freeing her from Suzuki's control. With his plan completely foiled, Suzuki tries taking his life. He is unable to do so. However, as Sensei catches the dagger with his bare hands, telling Suzuki he won't let him leave his story unfinished. Sensei asks Suzuki to tell him his story, and suddenly flashes of his traumatic past life start flashing in his mind. Being timid and weak, Suzuki would often find himself being bullied into being a pet in the real world. He tried to end it all multiple times but couldn't go through with it. His life was a never-ending cycle of continuous misery until one day he got run over by a truck and got transported to this world. In Zauberberg, thanks to his total obedience skill, Suzuki was able to experience having power for the first time in his life. That being said, he still saw no difference in treatment in this world, as the natives treated him with extreme prejudice too, making him finally snap. Recording everything Suzuki told him, Sensei finally finishes his novel based on a man who couldn't become a hero nor a villain in an isekai world because of his own weakness. He calls this novel No Longer Allowed in Another World, and as he says those words, the pages from his book start swirling around Suzuki. A summoning portal appears beneath him next. Sensei thanks him for helping him write something satisfying. He rips one of the pages, and suddenly the power of teleportation starts flowing into the magic circle that transports Suzuki back to Earth. After this, Sensei acquires the storyteller skill. but it only works on otherworldly beings. As Usha wonders about the meaning behind all this, the wolves attacking the village start retreating. As they're leaving to continue their journey, Usha asks Sensei if Suzuki would go back to living a miserable life on Earth again. Sensei reassures her that though his life on Zauberberg had ended, his life on Earth hadn't. Whether or not he makes a good one out of it was now up to him. We get the answer to that shortly after as Suzuki finds himself a job in the real world, taking his first step towards a meaningful life. Episode 5 begins when in the Sontag region of Zauberberg, Usha gets summoned for an urgent meeting. There to join her in this meeting are Bishop Wolf and Archbishop Goblin, the first non-elf to reach that rank. Next to arrive is Cardinal Miller, the one who arranged this short notice meeting. As Miller begins their meeting, a pink ponytailed elf arrives there in a hurry. This energetic young elf turned out to be Annette's replacement at the Erston Temple, named Aria. She reports nothing unusual had happened in her region lately, completely forgetting about Charlotte just recently inheriting the throne from the King of Roth. While Aria apologizes for her mistake, the Goblin Archbishop introduces himself. Named Elton, he was in charge of the Virton Temple. As far as his report was concerned, peace continued in the region of Mitwalk that was in his jurisdiction. Next up is Bishop Wolf of the Dritten Temple. In charge of the Samstag region, Wolf had nothing unusual to report apart from the occasional skirmishes between the dwarves. Last up is Usha. She reports about the incident involving Suzuki that resulted in half of the town of Vale getting destroyed, although repairs were already underway. Miller then reveals the real reason for summoning everyone today. With the Demon Lord finally defeated, the Pope had decided to seal the magic circles that allowed Otherworlders to come here. Although a new problem had popped up. The 7 Otherworlders who defeated the Demon Lord had taken control over the Demon Lord's territory and announced they would convert Zauberberg into their utopia. The rest of the bishops get appalled over this treacherous betrayal from the Otherworlders who were supposed to be the saviors of this world. Cardinal Miller considers this a declaration of war against the world's Church of Helsan. These 7 Otherworlders, alongside the numerous others in different regions who had similar intentions, were a cause of great concern for Zauberberg. The Demon Lord's daughter, Waldelia, was also not someone to be taken lightly. While the bishops try to think of a way to combat all these problems, Usha proposes a way to deal with the Otherworlders at least. She tells everyone about Sensei and his unique ability that lets him send otherworldly beings back to their world. Listening in on this, the Pope himself walks in all of a sudden and asks Usha to tell him more about this man who could prove to be a ray of hope for them. Meanwhile, a faceless girl hums in the balcony of the Demon Lord's castle, while a man in a tuxedo asks her if she was thinking about her lover again. They are both among the 7 Otherworlders who defeated the Demon Lord and wait there to see what the future awaits. Tired of carrying Sensei's coffin, the trio decide to spend the night in a random town. A young boy there tells them where the inn is. The little boy then tells about his hero introduction services, where he would assign Otherworlders to accompany parties that lacked the proper skills to get by on their own. The boy asks 40,000 Geniko for it. Tama refuses him, saying they didn't have that kind of money, though Annette just hands him the amount without hesitation, finding it a small price to pay for Sensei's safety. The boy praises Annette's decision, saying even the corpse in the coffin must be happy, knowing they were about to be accompanied by a hero now when Sensei suddenly pops out, scaring the daylights out of him. The boy, whose name was Nur, takes the money and takes off, saying he'll bring the hero to their inn soon. Time passes, but Nur never shows up. That's when the inn owner tells the trio they had been duped by Big Mouth Nur. Finding out that she had just been conned out of 40,000 Geniko literally takes the breath out of Annette. Upon Sensei's asking, the inn owner tells them about Nur. She tells him Nur was a town orphan who made his living by fooling visitors from time to time. Although the townspeople hated him, she felt sorry for him. The heroes he always talked about didn't exist, because why would they let him keep doing this if they did? Around the same time, Nur gets kidnapped and tied up by a bunch of thieves who take all his wealth. Nur threatens them that his Otherworlder pals won't let them get away with this, but the crooks start laughing. They then reveal that they were Otherworlders themselves and had heard all about how Nur had been deceiving people using their name. They then decide to punish Nur for his crimes while he quietly resigns to his fate, having lost all hope now. Suddenly Sensei appears and interferes with the shot, which then hits one of the Otherworlders, taking him out. One of them uses his hyperanalyzing ability on Sensei and finds out he was an Otherworlder too. But Sensei, having just 1 hit point whilst also being poisoned, diffuses their cause for concern quickly. as the guy with the crossbow announces he'll punish Sensei by killing him. Sensei's vitals suddenly start skyrocketing. Sensei then makes the shape of a heart with his hands over his heart and asks them to take aim there. Terrified by Sensei's deranged nature, the evil otherworlders retreat. Seeing hope still glimmering in Ner's eyes, Sensei tells him not to rush becoming an adult as he walks away, forgetting to untie Ner first. The next morning arrives, and as the trio is about to continue their journey to Grun, Ner shows up. Tama immediately gives him an earful for deceiving them and demands their money back. But Ner tells her he never lied to them, as he did keep his promise of bringing them a valiant hero, he himself. As they arrive at Grun, Annette spots an inspection checkpoint. Tama tells everyone she'll get them through easily since she was well known in her town. They do get through, although straight into a jail, as the guards immediately arrest them upon arrival and throw them in prison.